I hope you've been enjoying my Monday story readings. The next reading is a story called Beyond the Geomorphic. It begins with a fairly straightforward scientific account of some of the landforming processes in this Southeast Asian region, in particular volcanism and the impact of andesite or stratovolcanoes on landscape and the generation of masses of volcanic ash that consolidates into a sandstone. This particular sandstone is widely used in Bali by stone carvers, both in the classical form and, in the case of this particular story's theme, the more primal form found in the expression of stone carvers like Wayan Chamul, around which this story revolves. Wayan and I worked together over many years, but he also worked together with the Australian landscape architect Made Wijaya and became quite well known for the sculptures that Made incorporated into some of his brilliant landscape architecture. Unfortunately, both are now deceased, but this is a way of paying some sort of tribute to their work, and I hope you enjoy the story. There are a few slides that will give you a context following this little bookend. This is the view from my apartment in Singapore. The buildings in the foreground, old warehouses, that are now surrounded by a large residential development with works going on around the site. And what I was really fascinated by was this particular stage. Look at the grey rock. This I know as tuff. It can only come from volcanoes. Of course, there are none in Singapore, but 75,000 years ago, Mount Toba in nearby Sumatra erupted, covering the area in this grey volcanic ash that consolidated into tuff or volcanic sandstone. You can see the size of the crater that was left. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can get a much clearer sense of it. It's quite large. I've visited several times. It's a major tourist attraction these days, of course. And then if we look at the false colour, we can see mainly it's secondary barren, not much urban development, a little bit of agriculture. And you can see in this map the extent of the volcanic ash that fell over Southeast Asia, right across India and into East Africa. In Bali, of course, here's Mount Batur. It produces ash as well, also a little bit of lava you can see in the foreground. And then, of course, the most active volcano in Indonesia, Merapi. Look at the grey ash. This gradually layers over time and forms the volcanic sandstone. Here is a fine piece of Indic carving in Bali, this one of Ganesha, quite commonly located outside people's homes in Bali. Another, a small shrine, also carved from tuff, the volcanic sandstone. And here, the water temple at Pura Gunung Kawi Sebali, also carved from tuff, the volcanic sandstone. And another, a refined Indic carving of a deity, also carved from tuff with a wall behind made of tuff bricks. So it's very widely used, but not all carving is as refined as this. Here is a very primal type of carving by the stone carver Wayan Chamul, who draws on Austronesian imagery and his own unique and subjective understandings of the cosmos. Here he is as a young man with some of his work, a little bit more refined than the work we've just seen. And here is an older man, I think probably a photo taken by maybe Made Wijaya, I'm not sure. And here we see some turtles. Now, after I looked at that tuff in Singapore, I was walking along the river and I was reminded that the Balinese understand that the world rests on the back of a turtle. These are Singapore turtles. And it got me thinking, I must go and find out more about this. I stepped into a bookshop just as I was walking, after I walked along the river, and found this copy of Made Wijaya's Architecture of Bali. He featured a lot of Wayan Chamul's work in his landscape architecture.